So Mr. Koh graduated from Food Science and Technology in University Putra Malaysia in year 2001. Upon his graduation, he was in food industry for 5 years. Then he left and joined training and consulting industry. Mr. Koh is a specialized facilitator in emotional intelligence programs. He co-founded the Prime for Success movement in November 2017, where focused on enhancing Malaysian undergraduates' employability through personal branding in LinkedIn. So without further delay, I would like to welcome Mr. Koh Mui Han to start his talk. Welcome, Mr. Koh, and all participants.
All right, thank you, January, for the quick introduction. And hi, Dr. Kamaru, and thank you so much for arranging this. Warm, very good morning and greetings to all the students. I'm so happy to see so many of you on a Saturday morning. I know this is always a challenge, getting young people to wake up early on a weekend to listen to a career talk. So kudos to you all. Hopefully you are with me. I know some of you are still in bed, but nevertheless, thank you for making the effort to at least to tune in that sense. Just a bit of alignment. January, I have until 11:30 to talk, or I have to stop at 11 for Q&A. What's the...
Yes, you may go ahead, Mr. Koh. You can go until 11:30, and then I may open the session for Q&A after that. Okay.
Okay, cool. Right. Thanks. Just wanted. So thank you. Yeah, so about I think 2 or 3 months back, I got the opportunity to talk to your Vice Chancellor, Professor Zaliman. And of course, I know Prof from his UMK days, where we did some program in UMK. And he thought that, yeah, probably my expertise or my, I wouldn't actually call it expertise, but I think more of my passion towards helping young people like you to see a different perspective in terms of employability or employment would be of use in UNIMAP. So yeah, so then subsequently we have multiple meetings as well, and this is the result of it lah. So hopefully this is not my first and last engagement with UNIMAP. I definitely look forward to have multiple other engagement with all of you. But nevertheless, it is definitely yeah, it is definitely a pleasure and a privilege to actually be part of I mean to have this opportunity to meet all of you this morning, right? So I've been, just a quick background, besides what you have heard, I've been actively going to universities to talk to people like yourselves, right, undergraduates, with the hope that to bridge the current reality gap between university and the working world, right? And if you do have heard certain reports, right, or read certain news articles, definitely the employment for young graduates like you is becoming ever more challenging year after year. Okay, in fact, even without COVID, every year after the what we call the tracer study. Tracer study is the survey taken by Ministry of Higher Education, MOHE, with all the universities, public universities as well as private universities, 6 months after your graduation, just before your convocation for those graduating students, on the employability and employment of graduates, right? So according to the Tracer study, and it is a very, very scary report, because every year the number seems to hover around 80 to 120,000. So averagely, we are talking about 80,000 to 120,000 graduates 6 months after they leave university and they couldn't still get a proper job. Okay, so this is a growing trend. And as well, of course, COVID didn't help in that sense, right? Just that the silver lining is because there's so many other incentives or programs that is given to counter COVID effects. The number has not ballooned. That means it's still about there, 180 to 100,000. Of course, depending on the season, the number get moved a bit, right? So if you can think about it, it is quite scary. There's about 100,000 of our graduates that actually don't get a job 6 months after they leave the university, right? So looking at this trend is definitely unhealthy for Malaysia. And 4 years ago, I decided, what can I do? Because no point criticizing everybody. You can criticize the government, criticize the university, criticize the lecturer, criticize the student. Yeah, corporate people also criticize the student and say, what kind of student you all this coming in? That's why we cannot employ them. No, so I've gone beyond the stage of blaming, because I don't think blaming helps in that sense. So therefore, I said maybe I will take some initiative on my own to actually come to university and maybe share a different perspective, hoping that all of you may help to not be part of the statistics. Although I do understand UniMap graduate employability numbers is healthy, but nevertheless shouldn't be too too complacent, right? So don't think that just because your university's numbers are healthy, you won't be part of the statistics, right? Because it's still not 100% yet, just to put in perspective. Right. Maybe I'll ask a question, and this is where you can actually unmute yourself and talk to me as well. Or if not, you can use the chat to give an answer. So my question to all of you is, and this one has an answer, but don't worry about the right answer, more of an engagement with me, is how many students graduate from Malaysian universities every year? Any guess? You can unmute yourself and give an answer, or you can type into the chat group. $5,000, okay? Any other guess? Whole Malaysia, not UniMap only, friends. What is the number? Okay, so now we are jumping from 5 to 8,000, now become 20, 100, okay, 10, okay, 5 to 6 million. Kinket, if got 5 to 6 million graduating, I think you better migrate. Very scary. Our population is 30 million, friend. 5 to 6 million is 20% of the population. So every year got 20% population coming out from university, then you need to be very, very worried. Okay, it's 110,000. 1 million also quite a stretch, Ruslin. Right. Cairo also, okay. 5 million, cannot be 5 million, right? Okay. 3.5 million. Wow, really tembak, you all. That sense. So need to be realistic, friends, because you are university students. So at least I will say Muhammad El Sayed. So okay. So Muhammad El Sayed has some basis, okay? So as university student, when you answer question, although I ask you to tembak, also you must have some basis to tembak, all right? So his basis is 15 university, 5,000 each university. So it's about 75,000, right? Although 75,000 is not the right answer, but at least you got some basis lah, okay? So I will still admire you for that or commend you for that, okay? Cool. So thank you for your response. The answer is, I think the closest person is Raghunat, all right? So the answer is about 300,000. 300,000.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is the slide there?
The slide is not there. I have not shown any slide. Maybe, yeah.
Just want to confirm. Thank you.
Yeah. You cannot see the slide, is it? Let me double check.
Sorry, Mr. Han. Because some people cannot see Mr. Han video, but I can see.
Webcam.
Huh? What?
Can you see the slide now? Or can you see me now?
Huh? Hold on.
Yes, I can.
Now we can see your slide, Mr. Ko.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay,
It should be okay, I think.
yeah, usually I'm quite hopeless with Webex. Anyway. Okay.
Okay, many of them saying that they can see you. I think you can proceed.
Okay, right. So, yeah, because I'm trying to pull the chat box out. That's why I think when I do that, somehow or other, it distorted things. Okay, so, yeah, when I was saying that every year, from 4 types of institution in Malaysia, public university, IPTA, IPTS, private universities, polytechnic, and as well as community colleges, college community, produces 295,000 graduates. So about 300,000, right? And of this number, okay, I want to ask another question. So you all, so those who are hitting at 1 million and all, you know, is not realistic lah. Our country only got 30 million, right? At the moment, I think 32 or what, right? So 1 million or even more than 1 million seems a bit out of touch, right? So it's about 300,000, okay? So the next question I want to ask before I move on is, different Ministry of Human Resource, right? Kementerian Sumber Manusia also comes out with a report every year because it do a survey with all the companies in Malaysia. And the question I want to pick on is, they ask the companies, all the companies in Malaysia, what is the number of new jobs created? Okay, the number of new jobs created by all the companies in Malaysia. What do you think is the number? Okay, I stop sharing slide first. Okay, if you can just throw yourself into the chat, right? New jobs created. Okay, 50,000, all right? Any other number? 100,000, okay? Wow, Shamil, you so Jun one, 73.3. Wow, very exact. Okay, right. Any other answer? Yeah, maybe you take one or two more. Number of new jobs created by Malaysian companies. All the Malaysian companies combined in a year. And this basis is, don't take COVID. COVID is anomaly. But normal circumstances, how many new jobs created in the country? Maybe one last answer before I move on. Okay. I know it's still early in the morning, right? Seems, but I think just a word of advice. I mean, the whole idea here is trying to see how you would answer a question, right? And sometimes having the right answer may not be the ideal thing that the employer is looking for in a particular job interview session, but it's the basis of you asking this or answering this question, right? So yeah, as university students or graduates, you should have some kind of basis or some kind of logical thinking flow that. So anyway, all right. So since there's no other answer, I will continue to share my slide and then move on. Okay. Okay, right, you can see. Yeah, so the number given is 115,115, right? So some of you are quite near. So 115 minus 300. Okay, 300 is not the full number. The number that is not given is also the number of Malaysian that went to foreign universities for their degrees. And most of this, 80% or 90% of them who went to foreign countries to study will come back to work in Malaysia, because it is almost, not say impossible, but it is almost impossible to get a working permit or visa, right? Unless they go to Singapore, right? Or they work in Singapore. But the rest of the other countries in UK, in Australia, in US, a high chance they'll be back in Malaysia. Okay. I think among the 3 continents, I think Australia will be the most, easiest in that sense, but still, depending on the discipline and the type of job you want to do, to get a working visa is almost impossible. So if you do a quick maths of 350,000 minus 120,000, let's round it up, you can see the discrepancy in terms of graduates produced every year versus the job opportunity that is available. Now, I know you came here to listen about LinkedIn, and why do I start with this basis, right? I wanted to start with this basis is because as a management consultant, one of my jobs is to meet different HR people out there, HR directors, HR managers, C-suites and all. And for the longest time ever, they have been telling me that the quality of graduates or fresh graduates is deteriorating year after year. Okay. And actually, sakit hati also, a little bit heartache, because they tend to stereotype or they tend to be quite discriminatory or biased. Bias against who? Bias against public university students, especially, right? And I'm also a public university product, as you heard my profile earlier. Okay, so so in a way, if you hear the kind of rintehan dan keluhan, it is actually quite sakit hati in that sense. But at the same time, if you look at certain, talent that actually come to job interviews, you cannot help but to agree with them in that sense, right? So in a way, I've come to realize that after going into so many universities, I think I visited at least 20, 30, 25, I think my current record is 25 universities across Malaysia over the last 4.5 years. Haven't come to Unimap yet, supposed to come that day, tapi tak sempat, but I will try to make a trip in my coming months. I come to realize that the way that students are studying and preparing for the job market has not changed since my university days. So on one hand, I don't blame all of you. I don't blame all of you. In fact, I find that most of you, if not all of you, are even working harder and doing much more stuff compared to when I was in university 20 years ago, right? So the kind of projects that you do, the kind of activities that you do, the kind of involvement that you do, collaboration with other universities and so on and so forth, it is definitely at a much higher level than what we had 20 years ago, right? And in your student activities is also quite sophisticated at the competitions that you attend or you organize and so on and so forth, right? But why is there, if there is a progress in terms of how you work in university, why is there decreasing progress in employability, right? So the simple answer is there's just too many of you, right? If you hear the number 350,000, you are actually competing against this number when you graduate, right? And when the number increases, trying to be outstanding in the bigger pool, it becomes tougher and tougher and tougher. So as a result, if you're going to use the formula that I used 20 years ago, work very hard in university, that means study hard, do a lot of activities, be very active, become student leader, blah, 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 and all. And then by the time I graduate, then I can write all these things in my CV resume and start to apply job. And then I will confirm to get an interview. This formula is a little bit outdated, right? In fact, if you follow this path, almost for sure, you will be part of the statistics, right? Almost for sure of unemployed staff, unemployed graduates 6 months after you finish. So my point being here is you need to change the way that you approach employment, especially you are in university. And the earlier you do this, the better it is. Okay, that means if you do this in your first year or second year, it's better that you do it in your third year or final year. In fact, most students which I speak to at their final year will come and tell me, why didn't you come to see me when I was in my first year or second year? It's just too late, right? So anyway, regardless, I don't know which year most of you are from, but let's say if you are not final year, you got more time to act upon it. But if you are final year, it is still not too late if you decide to do something. Okay. So with that, let me go to the topic that was invited to give, right? So why LinkedIn and why it's important? So just maybe run a few slides. Okay. So you have heard this. This is the kind of business I run. And because of that, I talk to a lot of hiring managers, especially HR people. Okay. And ChangeDynamics is my own firm. Before ChangeDynamics, I was with the Big Four. I was with PwC Consulting, running HR advisory in Malaysia and across the region. So I started this program called Prime for Success, hoping to help graduates or undergraduates like you to enhance employability. And I've been going around different universities since end of 2017. All right. In fact, just to give you some numbers, just that you can appreciate, and the universities I've been to, before MCO or before COVID, I've physically run 50 sessions, okay, in 22 universities, cover about 6,500 students as in attendance. And then during MCO started last year, or sorry, not last year already, the year before last, 2020, I started on virtual sessions like this, right? I'm hitting another 5,000. So all in all, I've talked to nearly 11,500 or 12,000 students, right? Across 26, 27 universities, right? And the trend is very consistent. The trend is very consistent. Majority of you, if I were to use an analogy, is what I call myopia, right? So myopia is a condition, is a medical condition, which what we call short-sightedness. That means you cannot see far, you can see near, all right? It's a medical condition. That's why you need glasses, right? So most students I talk to have a window between 3 to 6 months ahead, okay? And to be fair to all of you, like I said earlier, 20 years ago, I was in university, I was also like that. So I didn't care about what happened to me when I graduate, when I was in university. I only cared what happened to me this semester and sometimes even next semester. All right. And that is also a stretch. So I'm more worried about my assignments, my exams, my projects, my activities this semester. Right. And I'm always also focused maybe a little bit about next semester. But if you do ask me when I was in first year what I wanted to become when I graduate, I can tell you I have no idea. If you ask me the same question in second year, I also tell you I got no idea. In fact, in my final year, that time I only did a 3 years program. In fact, in my final year, 7th semester, the 5th semester, if you ask me at my 5th semester what I wanted to become when I graduate, I would also tell you I have no idea. Although before the 5th semester break, I went for my internship, right? And I find that this trend is still very prevalent with many students today, right? So, and that is where the unemployment comes from. So what I'm trying to just say is you can no longer run the same formula I ran 20 years ago, right? Working hard to get good grades or decent grades and having a lot of extracurricular activities doesn't guarantee you a job. Okay, that is the key message that you need to tell yourself, right? You need to do something extra. And what is the extra is what we're going to talk about in this morning. Okay, so hopefully that you are not too demotivated to leave the meeting. right? But my point here is just trying to give you the perspective of why we are doing this. All right, let's talk about LinkedIn then. So why LinkedIn and why this personal branding idea is important? Now, personal branding on LinkedIn for me is purely for your employability purposes. So whatever techniques I'm going to share with you in the next hour is for you to get a job, period. All right. However, if you use the same technique, there are some of you who sometimes end up become social media influencer. In fact, in LinkedIn itself, there's many young social media influencers. And we have organizations like Talent Bank and Monster and all that actually promotes key opinion leaders among students, right? And therefore they get a lot of visibility and virality in their posts and in the social media profile, right? Now, I'm not here to run down these organizations. In fact, I admire the kind of work they do a lot, but my basis is this, okay? No point becoming famous on the internet if you cannot be employed, okay? So think about that very carefully. No point that you create viral posts day after day, week after week, but when you graduate, you cannot get a job, right? So if any of you who are into the social media influencing game, all right, you've been inspired and you want to be a social media influencer or a KOL, key opinion leader, fine. I got nothing against it, but make sure you are doing KOL to get a job, right? You are KOLing to get a job. Don't spend all your time and effort to become a KOL, and when you graduate, you don't get a job. So that is my point. That is my point. So in my techniques, which you'll see in a short while, is all about employability. So I won't give you ideas like you need to post every day. You need to post at least 3 times a day. You need to think of topics that people will engage in your post. All that advices will not be featured in today's presentation. Because why? Those advice is for personal branding on social media to be KOL or to create viral presence. My basis to you is not to create viral presence. My basis to you is to get the job. Okay, so that is a key difference. Right. So your LinkedIn profile, more importantly, is not your digital CV. So I also find that this misconception happens a lot with a lot of students. They just think that by creating the ideal LinkedIn profile, then automatically recruiters or hiring managers will come to them. That's why they attend course after course or webinars after webinars to find the technique to create the perfect LinkedIn profile. There is no such perfect LinkedIn profile. Let me assure you that, right? There are things that you can do or should do, but even when you do this, it is an ongoing thing. It is not a one-time effort, okay? So it is not a digital CV where you put there. Neither LinkedIn is a job portal. In fact, LinkedIn is a social media platform, okay? So what is the difference between a job portal and social media platform is, social media platform is like any other social media that you are familiar with. Of course, the current most popular is TikTok, right? For those of you before TikTok was Instagram, using Instagram or Twitter, or older people like us still are in Facebook, and so on and so forth, right? It is a social media. The only difference between LinkedIn and the other social media here is, when it was first created, it was a social media for recruiters and people who want to find job, right? So if you do Google LinkedIn, all right, the description in Google will tell you that it is this kind of platform, right? But having said that, many people misconstrue or misunderstand that it is a job portal. What is the difference? So job portal, for instance, the most famous job portal in Malaysia, JobStreet, right? It is a bulletin board where you can place job advertisement, companies place job advertisement, and applicants can actually apply for jobs in job portals, right? Of course, it is still there, but I don't think any of you, this generation, actually buy physical newspaper to read. right? But in my generation, where we read actual newspaper, physical ones, right? One of the key revenue for news media companies was classified ads, right? So classified ads were job advertisement in newspaper. And 20 years or 25 years ago, when I graduated, my daily Saturday routine is to flip through that 40 pages to see which job advertisement suit my degree or qualification, right? These days, you no longer do that. That activity has been replaced by job portal, right? So there are multiple job portals out there, right, who play that role. But I would like to say LinkedIn has a job portal function, but it is not a job portal. Can you see the difference, right? So the focus is still a social media platform. Just that in this social media platform, it is full of professionals. It is full of hiring managers. It is full of recruiters. It is also full of people seeking for job or people looking for opportunity in that sense. Okay, that's one. In Malaysia context, there's about 30% active on a daily basis, all right? And this 30%, there is a growing number of young people. But in fact, the percentage of undergraduates being active on LinkedIn is still very, very low. So after today, hopefully I can inspire you. If you do take up the call and be active, at least maybe not on a daily basis, at least on a weekly basis, you will join the top 10 to 15% of undergraduates that are active on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of benefit to do that, which I'll show you in a short while. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a big picture of what LinkedIn is. Okay, now the next I want to introduce is this person called Murad. All right, so this is a very old profile of his. In fact, I took this screenshot about, I think, 4.5 years ago. So I told you I wanted to go to universities to do something to help employability among graduates, but I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And I saw that most university already got career workshops, got CV writing classes, got grooming classes, got job interview techniques classes, and all these other things. In fact, I was in UKM. I saw the entire end-to-end services the career center had to offer, and the kind of providers talking to them. Wow, I was like blown away. There's so many type of graduate employability services, and yet everybody's employability is so low or lower than what it is, right? So I wanted to go into the university with at least an angle that is less competitive. Competitive in a sense that at least when I go to talk to career center say, hey, we don't have this, maybe we should talk to you. If I go to career center and say, I want to run CV workshop, they say, papaya lah, your angkat nombor lah, there's 10 other career coaches that want to offer this, right? So that is where I discovered or found that LinkedIn is the unique offering that I can actually share with university students. But got one problem. Actually, at that point, I don't know much about LinkedIn. In fact, these days, I find it a little bit funny when people call me a LinkedIn expert. I'm no LinkedIn expert, right? When I first started, I don't know much, but I only had the intention to help young people like you. And this is one topic which I think that you need, but yet actually I don't have expertise. So as any good consultant or trainer, we educate ourselves. So I spent 6 months researching what to do, all the best practices, listen to webinar after webinar, follow all the key influencers on LinkedIn, see what they do on a daily basis, and translate it into a teachable strategy for students like you. And one of the amazing people that I met 4 years ago on LinkedIn, I have not met this person then physically. I don't know this person. I just met him on LinkedIn, was Afiq. Okay. Now, I want to share with you 3 postings that Afiq did 4 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, right? And when I first followed him, he was just a 3rd-year student in MMU, in Multimedia University in Cyberjaya, right? So I'm going to show you 3 postings, and I would like to invite you to tell me, what do you think he is doing in these 3 LinkedIn posting? Okay. So the first one, if you can see him, actually don't have the full picture. He's having lunch with this guy. This guy's name is actually Krishna Chaitya. Krishna is the associate director in PwC Malaysia, right? And he writes something like, choice is what you have, dictate at good time meeting, blah, 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 delighted. Definitely enlightened me about working capital beyond just numbers, blah, 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 and things like that, right? Then he do one posting, right? So this is about 5 years ago, right? When he was still a third-year student. I keep emphasizing that, right? Now, next posting, okay? SP Satya is a GLC because they are part of Pemodaran Nasional Berhad, PNB. SP Satya is one of the biggest property developer in Malaysia, okay? And the chief HR officer is by the name of Puan Nadia Tan Abdullah. So Nadia is the person standing next to him. If you can see the picture down there. Sorry, it's a little bit small, all right? So he writes, SP Satya wins circles with lean in Malaysia, strong struggle with the start of a stronger team at SP Satya. He tagged Nadia Tan, such a great camaraderie, facilitating circles, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and then post. And then the people behind there is Nadia's team, and this is their SP Satya headquarters in Setia Alam in Klang, right? Last one. Awesome man behind Essential Malaysia. Essential is the global technology consulting firm, all right? And the country managing director is this guy by the name of Aswan Baharudin, okay? So awesome man behind Essential Malaysia, Aswan Baharudin dropped by my university campus today, not only being sharp and visionary, definitely he got Millennium Horizon, blah, 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 take selfie with Aswan. Okay, I stopped sharing. Question, what is my friend Afiq is trying to do in this posting? You can unmute yourself or even type into the chat box. I actually prefer that you unmute yourself, actually. Anyone?
Is it to show how he carries himself?
Okay, cool. Shows how he carry himself. Right. Others? Sorry, this is not a lecture. This is a sharing session. So I would really prefer that you interact with me. All right. If not, then we're very boring. Or we don't need to run this session. I will just give the recording to Dr. Kamaro and he can just play for you to watch. Right. So yeah, I would prefer some response if you don't mind. And it's also a good practice for you to learn to respond to the speaker as part of your training for your job interview. Yeah, what is my friend Afiq trying to do?
There's two responses in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Great bonding with the industries on LinkedIn. Okay, shows he's active. All right. He's making connection in LinkedIn. Okay. Anyone else? How is he developing his social skills, Lavinia? If you can explain. Trying to engage others. Okay. Freena, right? Freena say inspire on his journey. How does he inspire people? I think Godfrey got it better. He trying to show that he knows people that are important. That's what I thought as well, right? Right? Recognition towards high profile. High profile people, you mean, Faisal? Okay. How is he recognizing high profile people? Okay, good PR, probably. Okay. Thanks for the responses. Okay. Yeah, actually better if you can unmute yourself. I want to hear your voice as well. You're not then a little bit one-sided. Question. When he needed to do his 6-month mandatory internship, which company that he did it with? Tembak lah, tembak. Because don't cheat and go and check LinkedIn now. Right? But which company that he did his internship with? Any wild guesses?
Yeah.
Okay, SP Satya, good try. That's not the answer. Any other guess? Very challenging to get an answer from your case. Civil firm, what do you mean, Kishan? Civil as in civil engineering or civil what? He's actually not an engineering student. He's a business student, actually. Okay, I'm not asking what type of internship role he got. I'm asking which company. Yeah, that's my question. Okay, it's not SP Satya lah. Okay, neither is it TNB lah. Okay, but thank you, good try. Bay and it's definitely one of the three lah. You know, I show you the three for what? Yes. There's a reason why I show you, right? No, he didn't get an internship from LinkedIn, and LinkedIn didn't have an office then. Now, 5 years ago, LinkedIn only had an office in Singapore, not in Malaysia. But today they have an office in Malaysia. Okay, I'm getting nowhere, so better give answer, right? So he got internship with Accenture, yeah, the last one, right? You all don't know Accenture, is it? All of you don't know this company called Accenture, is it? Anybody know Accenture? Just all right. Okay. You should know because they hire a lot of engineers actually. Okay, no worries. Accenture is a multinational. It's a global technology consulting firm. Okay, although it is not into the areas of electrical or electronic engineering as what you are doing, but yeah, it's one of the biggest company that you all should aspire to work for. Anyway, yeah, so he was with Accenture. So when he changed his profile to show that he was Accenture, then suddenly it makes sense to me what he was doing on LinkedIn. Okay, so in the digital world, they actually talk about how to say they talk about what we call O2O strategy. O2O, O2O, O for online to offline strategy, and this is exactly what my friend Fakir did, right? So he used his online presence to make friends with all these big bosses, right? And for longest time ever, for 6 months, I didn't know what he was doing. I thought this guy was just either building his PR skills, you know, showing off because he kept taking all these selfies, you know, in that sense. But when he got his internship in Accenture, then it made a lot of sense, okay? Because it is almost hard or very hard to get internship placement in the big companies, right? By just purely submitting a CV, right? So when he was in his 3rd year, he got about 2 more years or 2 more semesters before he goes for his internship. Use the platform or use internet as a basis to connect with all these bosses or people that he want to work for in the future, build a relationship with them, and then utilize that relationship to get himself an internship placement. Y'all know what I'm trying to say here? Just to check. Okay, thanks for your response. Because I scared without any response. I don't know whether I'm talking to myself. Whether it makes sense that I was talking to myself, right? Cool. So what is his strategy, which I want to share this morning's session. So before I go to his strategy, which I want to share with you, I want to tell another thing. So I didn't know this strategy only worked not only for his internship, but also worked for his job, right? So when I was going around, if you saw my earlier slide, I say I went around different university telling this same story, which I told you, okay? I did 50 sessions in 22 universities. So from session 1 to session 38, 1 to 38, okay, I tell this story about how this guy, you know, very active on LinkedIn, used LinkedIn as a platform to build relationship with all these big bosses, then use that to translate it into an internship opportunity. And that's where he got his internship placement in the global multinational tech consulting firm Accenture, right? So I tell you the same story I told, right? From session 1 to session 38. Now, from session 1 to session 38, I actually don't know Afiq, or I've never met Afiq, okay? Of course, I know him through LinkedIn. And every time I run a talk like this, especially if it's a big class like yours, right? Suddenly, Afiq on LinkedIn will get a lot of connection invite. Now, if any one of you want to send Afiq an invite, just do me a favor, put a personalized note to say that you heard him from my class and you like to connect with him. Because if not, suddenly he will get 30, 40, 50 invites from Unimap students. You don't know where it come from, right? That happens a lot in the earlier days. So before session 39, I decided to have lunch with him just to get to know him and also to validate his story, because I keep telling you I'm going to share his five strategies, right? These strategies is actually not he write one. I write. I observe his behavior. I come out with a roadmap that this is what he do, right? So I didn't get a chance to validate with him from session 1 to session 38. So before session 39, I thought probably I wanted to validate, to confirm this is exactly what he do, right? So as also to protect the sanctity or the integrity, right, of what we call what I wanted to share with more students, okay? So I had lunch with him and then I thank him for his, how to say, graciousness to allow me to share his story, also to share his techniques with rest of the students like you all. And then I asked him this question. I say, I just wanted to validate this is what you do. So I say step 1 like that, step 2 like that, step 3 like that, step 4 like that, and step 5 like that. Is it correct or not? Then he thought for a while, then he say, okay, yeah, I won't call it like that, but it's also not wrong lah, what you have just said. This is something that I do lah in that sense. But I wouldn't have given it step 1 like that, step 2 like that, step 3 like that in that sense, okay? But nevertheless, whatever you have just mentioned covers, all right? Covers what I do, all right, on that basis. So I was quite relieved lah, because at least for the last 38 sessions, I've been telling the correct story or correct technique lah. I didn't make it up and didn't validate from the person that I observed doing it. Then he told me a story. We shocked me. By that time, by session 39, he already have graduated and he actually started to work for a Big Four company. Now, why is it called the Big Four? The Big Four is the biggest, in case you don't know, since most of you are engineering students, the Big Four is the biggest 4 accounting firms in the world. That's why they call the Big Four, right? In terms of revenue, right? So which are the Big Four is PwC, EY, KPMG, and Deloitte, right? So he was working with one of them, which is EY. EY is short for Ernst & Young, right? As one of their consultants, okay? So he was in EY, Malaysia, for 3 months when I met him for lunch, okay? And he told me this story, how he got his EY job. Now, again, EY Consulting hardly hire local graduates. Let me tell you this, right? The Big Four, okay, consulting division, hardly hire local graduates. In fact, when I was in PwC Malaysia, another big four, right? There are 225 of us in the division, from the most junior position called the associate to the most senior person called the partner, 225 of us. Guess how many local graduates are there out of 225? Can you take a wild guess? Maybe on the chat. Okay, Lukman say 5. Okay, any other answer? 16. So just to clarify, Big Four, of course, the core business is accounting assurance. That means account auditing. Assurance side, they hire local graduates. But the consulting side, they hardly hire graduates, all right? So we got 5, we got 16, we got 40, we got 35, all right? Thanks you for your response. The answer is 3. 3 out of 225, okay? In fact, it's almost impossible to get into the Big Four consulting practice as a fresh graduate from local university. I can just tell you that the bosses are biased, yeah, and that is very true, not only for the Big Four, but for many multinational and as well as for many, even GLCs. They are biased towards hiring foreign graduates, okay? So anyway, Afiq got in, and Afiq was trying to tell me how he got this job, right? So he said one fine day he was invited by the recruitment team in EY to come for an interview. He didn't apply for this job, he was invited to come for interview. So he went for interview, they did the assessment, you know, and then he sat on the interview, and then they said, I think you fulfill all the criteria. Here is the job offer letter. Look at it, 2 weeks later, please submit, and then you can talk about the start date. So he was shocked. This guy was shocked. He said, wow, so I did apply for this job, asked me to come for interview. Then when I sat for the interview, straight away, I get an offer letter. So he was very, very delighted and happy because he always wanted to work in Big Four. And this was suddenly got invited as well, right? So out of curiosity, he said, don't worry, I'm going to sign the offer letter. I'm very interested to start with you. But out of curiosity, I just wanted to understand, since I didn't apply for this job, why did you actually invite me for the interview, right? And now subsequently give me the job. So the head of recruitment or the recruitment manager said, I don't know what you did on LinkedIn 2 years ago. Not even then, 2 years ago, that means he was in second year. I don't know what you did 2 years ago on LinkedIn, but from one posting or one comment that my senior partner, that means the big boss, did, you did a comment on his posting, and after that, he was so impressed with what you wrote, he came to the recruitment team and say, can you watch this young graduate, and I want him to be in the firm when he graduates. Therefore, you were invited for this interview. So imagine the recruitment team tracked him for 2 years because the big boss gave a standing order because of something he wrote on LinkedIn. Okay, so that is, when I heard that story, I was like, wow, it really works. It really works. And I wish more of you would take some, will follow his strategies and also use that to get your job that you want or to get the job that you are aiming for. Okay. Kishan's question is why the quota is so low. It's not a quota. It's just that technically for that practice, they just don't hire local graduates. Full stop. Okay. And to be fair, not only them, most of the multinationals have the same behavior. Yeah. So Akil is right. They are biased. They are pure bias. Okay. So that's why I'm saying that sometimes if it's very hard, sometimes it's very hard to even get your CV seen by them. Okay. And for various purposes. The other one, slightly off topic since you asked, before I move on to my next slide, is foreign graduates, they got this practice. Foreign university, that means our friends, Malaysian friends who went to foreign university to do their degree. Every holiday, they will do an internship. So in fact, when I was in PwC, every month I got interns. Every month I got interns. So these are Malaysian students that went overseas to study, come back for their summer break, which is 3 months. Of the 3 months, they will do 2 months internship. So first year do internship, second year do internship, third year do internship in Malaysia, fourth year do internship in UK, Australia, or US. So by the time they graduate, just CV alone, they got 4 internship experience. Compared to IPTA student, how many times you do internship in your entire degree? Yeah, thank you. Right, 1. So by that kind of comparison, we are, since I'm also IPTA, we already lose out in terms of employability, right? So this is for those who are not in your final year, this is a tip for you. Actually, any year you can do internship. You do not need to wait for the mandatory internship period to do your internship. In fact, the more internship you do, the better it is for your employability. That's what the foreign students do, or foreign university graduates do a lot. That's one. Number 2, most of this, probably you all know about Graduan, the organization that runs a lot of graduate employee program. Graduan runs a career fair, non-COVID time. COVID, I don't know what's the arrangement. Graduan runs a career fair for Malaysian companies to do recruitment every April and May in London, in Sydney, Melbourne, and I think in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, or LA, sorry, Los Angeles, right? Every April or May, because I know my colleagues were there to do recruitment when I was in PwC. They scout for the person that they like, then they send back the CV for me to review, and then we do a con call. Those days was Skype. We do a Skype call to do the interview. So as a result of that, the foreign university graduates get preference first, upfront preference for the jobs that is available in the multinationals, in the Big Four, in the GLCs, and so on and so forth. So by the time we all graduate in June, sudah terlambat. No more job already, or whatever is left there. Therefore, that's why I say, if you follow the traditional way of applying for a job, it's very hard for you to get a job. Because why? By the time you start applying for a job in June, July, or even August, not many jobs left. Okay? So besides being biased, Kishan, just to put in perspective, besides being biased, right, there are 2 advantages foreign university graduates have against us. Number 1, they got more internship experience, therefore their CV looks 5 times or 6 times better. Okay. Number 2, they also are recruited much earlier compared to us. So they all have been trained, even in their final semester, to apply for a job in their final semester, right? Not apply for a job after you graduate or you finish your finals. But in most local universities I go to, when I ask students to do this, all of them will tell me, tunggu dulu. Sir, tunggu dulu. Wait first. I need to finish my final year project. I need to finish my exam before I can apply for a job. You tunggu lor. So the problem if you tunggu is you terlambat lah. I mean, people already got the job, you didn't get the job lah. So you can apply for a job even before you graduate, friends. Don't be so naive. No company need to see your certificate upon application, okay? So some people tell me, hey, wouldn't they ask for my cert? Yeah, for you to know, even if you pass all your exam, your cert also come much later, okay? Doesn't come immediately. You probably have academic transcripts, but most companies don't even look at your academic transcript. So you can apply for a job in your last semester already, okay? Lukman asks, how to apply? Just apply. Any company will just take you if they find that you are a good resource. You don't actually need a supporting letter from your university.
Mr. Ko, sorry to interrupt. So Mr. Ko, don't share any slide, right? For the moment?
I'm not sharing any slide, yeah.
Okay, just to confirm. Thank you.
Okay, so Lukman, anytime you can actually apply for internship with any company, the basis is the company must hire you lah. Okay, so there's no restriction and your university also don't penalize you. I'm speaking very boldly on behalf of UniMap, but I believe that UniMap also don't penalize you if you go and do internship first year, second year, third year. I'm correct. I don't think I'm wrong. Right? So it is only our self-limiting belief or our paradigm to think that we can only do internship during the slot or allocated time by the university. It is not true, friends. It is not true. So if you want to enhance your employability, especially for all of you who is very deep into electronics and electrical engineering, right? I would really suggest that you go into the industry as soon as possible. Go and do 1 month, 2 months. Even they pay you below the allowance, give you 100-200, also take it and just get the experience. Okay? So far, so good. Any other question on this before I...
Mr. Goh, I got one question regarding the internship. Should be in the field?
Of course, if you can get in the field, then wonderful. If you don't get in the field, any working experience is also better than no working experience. So I give you an example. All right, before I answer the few other questions. Good. Since I stimulate your interest, now you ask question. Now I'm excited. Okay, it might be very boring me talking. So I went to UTHM, University Tun Hussein On in Parit Raja in Johor. Right, their mechanical faculty of mechanical engineering students are one of the best, I would say, in terms of organizing events. In fact, I'm very impressed because why? To arrange my talk, the students do it themselves. No lecturers involved. They will organize everything and they get it done. So 1 year I was there. This was before COVID. There was this second year student, second or going into second year. He just finished his first year. Second year mechanical student, I cannot remember his name. This was 3-4 years ago. Organized my talk. Everything from inviting me to getting the approval to, even giving me honorarium and whatever processing with the bendahari, everything he do by himself, scouting for me, right? So I was very, very indebted and touched in this guys, right? So before I left, that was about April, May time already, going into holidays, finished finals already. We had to talk after the final exam. So I asked him, so, hey, what are you doing this holidays, the 3-month break between May to September, because semester start in September, right? So I asked him, what are you doing for this long break? Oh, he said, sir, sibuk, because the only slack thing about this is he don't speak English. He only speak Malay. But I give credit to him because I like when students, if you don't speak English, it's fine with me, but you must speak perfect BM. And he spoke perfect BM, right? So vice versa. If you don't speak BM, it's fine, but you make sure you speak perfect English, right? You don't speak, if you don't speak here and don't speak there, both also kaput, then no benefit. So you say actually sibuk semester ini atau what you call holiday ini cuti ini sibuk. I said, kenapa sibuk? Oh, saya menjadi facilitator minggu suai kenal, right? Orientation week facilitator, right? Untuk universiti saya. Wow, that I was very excited. I said, wow, that is great, because when I was in UPM, I was also orientation week facilitator for my residential college, right? And I know the kind of work that is needed, the kind of preparations, that 3 months really non-stop is very, very intense. And I was very, very, delighted for him when he told me that. Then he said the next thing, which I got worried. They said, actually, tak ada lah, sir, ini saya sudah biasa, because saya budak diploma, saya masuk diploma 2 tahun. So, daripada tahun kedua diploma, saya sudah jadi senior, saya memang sudah jadi facilitator. So, tahun 1 pun saya jadi facilitator, ini kali ketiga. Wow! When he said kali ketiga, I had to stop him already. I said, friend, stop. They say, why? I say, you keep repeating an activity that is a lot, takes a lot of your time in the university, actually doesn't contribute to your overall employability. Okay, so this is coming to what we call shop sendiri already. Malaysian terminology is called shop sendiri, right? We ask you to be active in co-curriculum activities because that will help you in your employability. But please don't do the same activity over and over and over again, semester after semester after semester, year after year. Because why? It doesn't add any significant difference in terms of your employability. So if you are a facilitator, Minggu Swai Canal Orientation Week, you do it once, maximum twice enough already. In fact, 2 times is already too much. Once is more than enough. You use that time for other type of activities or use that time for internship. So he was a finishing first year going to second year student. I told him about internship. He was also shocked. He said, boleh ke, sir? Saya baru budak tahun 1, boleh buat internship meh? Boleh. Siapa cakap tak boleh? So that is what I'm trying to talk about lah. So, okay, Ho Jin asks, does it help if once we work in a different field? It definitely helps you to see different perspective of the kind of field. So you may try to apply for internship, especially it's not your internship period, on the field of study. But if you don't get the job, getting any job in any other field is better than no job, because every job experience add to your CV. Okay. So later I'll tell you a way to run about this. CGPA, Kishan, this one is a very controversial topic. So the answer is actually, to be honest, most employers don't actually look at your CGPA. Okay. But there's a big but here. But if they cannot evaluate your effectiveness or cannot evaluate your fit, I think the word is fit. If they cannot evaluate your fit to the organization, they will still use CGPA as a criteria. Okay. So if you have other things to demonstrate your strength, okay, and your capabilities, CGPA is watered down. Okay. But if you don't have anything else, then CGPA becomes a major requirement. So for instance, I got students who are totally inactive, never do anything in university. Then I expect this person to be a first-class honest person or fall flat in that sense. Because why? You do nothing else but study. So if you do nothing else but study and you can study very well, then I can utilize that results for a specific role or a specific type of job in the company. But you don't do activities, you also don't study very well. Your CGPA is 3.1, 3.2, so only. Then it doesn't make sense, right? So for CGPA purposes, my advice is, if you do have just a healthy, decent CGPA, what is decent? Anything between 3 to 3.5, you are quite okay already. Below 3 is a little bit not nice but nevertheless, if you have any other things to justify, then it doesn't also look that bad. Yes, Farouk, you can include that not only in your LinkedIn but in your CV too. Cool. Great question. Jumping the gun a bit, KS, but I will talk about this when we come to the part to write your how to say work experience on LinkedIn. All right. But a simple rule of thumb, all your part-time work that is not related to your field, your focus shouldn't be the type of job. So when you go and do internship, don't focus on the job and tasks. You need to do the job and tasks. So for instance, you are a waiter, you need to do, because usually interns, we get you to do very administrative stuff, things that maybe doesn't cause the company lose money one, right? Especially if it's not your internship period, right? So be prepared to do administrative low-level work as an intern, right? It happens to all industry, not only your industry in that sense, right? So as a result of that, your focus shouldn't be to demonstrate you have done all that job, because it is therefore, so for instance, I'm just thinking out loud, and I could be wrong here, right? So your job, let's say you go work in an electronics company, in that sense, somehow you manage that. But because you are an intern, and even your internship period, the company probably asks you to do some you follow the technician around. So your job as a technician, or follow the technician, that means you are the technician helper in that sense. So if you think about it, you are the person actually helping to maintain not even helping to maintain, you are just helping the technician to maintain, do maintenance for the manufacturing facility of the electronics plant. So worse than what we call fitter lah. You are not even the fitter, you are the below the fitter kind of role in that sense. So if you describe the fitter role in your CV, definitely it doesn't make sense for you to justify your engineering experience, right? Because you technically didn't do any engineering experience. You probably pergi sana tukar screw ke, tukar, change this and that lah. But your focus therefore would be to talk about the kind of transferable skills that you have learned during this period, right? What are transferable skills? Skills like planning, skills like communication, skills like working in a team, okay? So since KS asked about waiter, so this is my favorite example. Waiter, a little bit generic lah. Let's talk about Starbucks barista. So let's say you are a part-time Starbucks barista every Saturday, Sunday lah. Okay, you come from maybe not a poor family, just enough to pay your semester, only this semester, next semester also don't know can pay or don't pay. So because of that, you help your parents out by working in Starbucks every Saturday, Sunday, 6 o'clock to maybe 10 o'clock at night. Sorry, maybe 5 to 10. You take the night shift, right? Because no lectures will happen on 5 o'clock on Saturday or after Saturday, right? So you do that shift every day, every weekend, for 6 months or even 1 year, your final year or your third year. Let's say you do that, right? And you are an engineer, so to say. So do you put a Starbucks experience in your CV when applying for an engineering job? Yes, you do. But you don't write in your CV you're serving coffee, you're taking orders, blah, blah, blah. So what do you write? So you focus on what is the transferable skill in Starbucks that you learn, right? And in my opinion, the great transferable skill in Starbucks that you learn is actually on customer service. So I would put something like, just an example of the CV portion, rather than to put prepare coffee, sell cakes, collect money, blah, blah, as my task, I will delete all of those things. I will say that I spent 12 months in Starbucks Malaysia as a barista. In my 12 months, I've been trained on this quality of customer service because Starbucks Malaysia or Starbucks Global, right, provides one of the best customer service in the world. In my first 2 weeks of my job, my supervisor helped me to understanding customers' needs from verbal cues, from body language cues, and also helped me to understand the script to address my clients as they walk in. And in the next 8 weeks, as part of my probation, I've been supervised by my supervisor to manage customers. And by the end of that 12 weeks, I am a very competent customer service provider when it comes to when serving as a barista in Starbucks. So you have reconstructed the entire description of your internship, of your part-time job as a barista into somebody that has picked up a transferable skill like customer service. And is this skill valuable in the engineering world? It is lah, because customer service can work internal and external. So even if you're going into design later, as a design engineer, you still need to know your end users' requirements. And some of you may need to have interaction with the end user. And that is where customer service is important, right? Although you're not preparing coffee for them, but understanding their needs, reading their body language, reading their verbal cues, you know whether you're fulfilling or not fulfilling their needs. Okay, so that's how I would say lah. So don't focus on the serving coffee or no. So talk about the establishment, talk about what you do. So for instance, if you work in Tesco as a cashier, don't talk about being a cashier. There's no value being a cashier as an engineer, but there's a lot of value working in Tesco. Now it's called Lotus Malaysia. Working in Lotus Malaysia as part of following what we call SOPs, following because they are very regimented in SOP, implementation of SOP, how you train, how you prepare checklists, how you do, all these things before you start your job, when you end your shift, and then when you prepare for the next shift, so handover. These are the things you should emphasize to describe in your CV if you do a part-time job in Tesco or even Giant or whatever, not as a cashier, although your job is as a cashier. So the description shouldn't be focused on cashier. Okay, a few more questions. Okay, all right. Kishan again. All right, thanks, Kishan, for asking. Final year project, yes and no lah. Okay. If your supervisor is doing a super duper project that is highly, valued by the industry, then your final year project is very valuable to position your employment. Okay. I ask another question first, and Kishan, you please answer me. Okay, just so that you will see where I'm coming from. What is the main purpose of a final year project? Can you tell me? Good try, Akil. But if you do a final year project, you will know later on, a lot of times whatever you learn in your other modules are not applicable or hard to apply because final year project is very specific to the topic of research. Learn how to write, okay lah. If you're going academic, then yes. Okay. You're describing final year project already. Right. What if I tell you, so maybe I ask another question, okay. In your final year project, which is more important? The technique, the methodology of final year project is more important, or the outcome of research is more important? Which one is more important? Method or outcome? Okay, so we got I thought we got one. we got unanimous. Now got different view already. Very good. Okay, thanks for the. So for a undergraduate like you, outcome is not important. Shocking, but this reality, So even your supervisor, I know there's few supervisor here, so hopefully I'm not saying the wrong thing, but I can quietly qualify because I married an academician also, so I understand, right? So even your supervisor is not too focused on your outcome because the topic of research given to you for your final year project, to be honest lah, and I'm sorry if I sound a little bit condescending. I don't mean to, but I want to say it just to give you a real perspective. To be honest, your final year project won't be the next Nobel Prize winner as an undergraduate, right? So therefore, your outcome is the least important thing in your final year project, although you spend a lot of time on it. But what is important in your final year project is for you to really understand and master the methodology. Okay, ask another question, right? Before I answer the rest of the question, what is so important about this method, or what is this final year project methodology? If you can summarize in one word, what is final year project methodology? So I don't know about you. I learned 6 credits, 6 plus 6 credit for 2 semesters. That's 12 credits for me for my final year project. After going to 12 credits, what is one thing that I should have learned from my 12 credits? That I can apply in any job. Maybe I qualify that. What is one thing that I learned from my final year project which I can apply in any job? Okay, thank you. The answer is problem solving, Dini, no Dini, right? So if you notice, the final year project methodology is a comprehensive and structured way to do problem solving. And in most jobs that you're going to do later on in the industry and in the corporate world, it's all about problem solving. It's all about coming up with a hypothesis. It's all about doing literature review, that is research, desktop research. It's all about coming up with a design model that you can experiment on. It's about running experimentation, collecting data, making use of data, digesting the data, analyzing the data, and coming out with a discussion on the data and coming with a conclusion. All jobs, if you summarize it, it is in this order to a certain extent. So if you do your project, your final year project, your focus is not focusing on the research outcome, at least as an undergraduate. If you're doing postgraduate, no, then it's different, right? But as an undergraduate final year project, your focus needs to be on mastering the methodology. Okay? Because any other job, that is the focus, right? So with that in mind, if you can, you should actually look at, you should look at making sure that you pay more attention to the methodology rather than the outcome. Because if you think that the outcome is important, then you could be because the outcome is very niche and very specialized. And unless there is a field that is currently in that then you probably won't fit it. Okay, right. I noticed I don't have much time. All right, so I parked a few questions. I'll come back and answer to you. From Daniel. Okay, so got one question from Daniel. Who else? I remember I got another question. Akil also. So there's one question on competition. There's one question on pelapis. Okay, I will answer those questions later. Right. I just quickly want to share the techniques. Then I will come back and answer some questions. All right. But good. Keep the question coming. At least I'm not bored now. Okay, cool. For that, I want to fall asleep already. All right. So I just want to quickly run through and give you a general idea. Then, so if you want a more detailed session, then we can arrange another session, right? Not an issue, right? So the 5 critical strategies is this. First, you need to have a professional-looking LinkedIn profile, right? Second is you need to actively, at least on a daily basis, if not a weekly basis, start to connect with the people that you want to work for in the future. So it is targeted. So my friend Afiq didn't connect with Aswan suka-suka one. He already envisioned that he want to work for Accenture. Therefore, he made a connection online with Aswan. Okay. And he think that he probably have one future, not maybe now, not future. He maybe want to work for SP Setia. Therefore, he connected with Nadia Tan. Right? Or he may want to work in PwC. Eventually, he worked for PwC. From EY, he went to PwC. PwC, he went to Deloitte. So this fellow, job hopper, 3 years after graduating, every year join a different Big Four, which is very impressive, right? Yeah, so that's why he connected with Krishna. So this guy is very targeted. He don't simply add people, or he don't only add people that he know, but every time he adds somebody on LinkedIn, he is making sure that this is a person that he want to build relationship with for the future, so that it may help him to get a job or to get an opportunity, right? Number 3, he also actively comments on their posts. This one, if you do, you are the top 1% or top 0.5%, in fact. Why? Because no undergraduates dare to comment on professional managers posting on LinkedIn. Almost none, I can say. So when I started to do, I was very impressed one. So Aswan would probably, Aswan, the Essential group MD, would post a posting on digital transformation in the telco industry. Our friend will comment, say, wow, Aswan, this is a very interesting perspective in the telco industry. It really helped me to understand how the 4 players are being. So when you start commenting on senior professionals or senior managers posting on LinkedIn, you are forced to research on the conversation, because if not, you may sound very childish and totally out of topic, right? So because of that, his maturity to have a conversation with these senior people is enhanced. Because why? He does this every day. And why it's also important to do this is because there are so few of us, there's so few, students commenting on our posts. In fact, every professional manager on LinkedIn, with the exception of 2-3 people, if we put a posting on LinkedIn, there is less than 20 comments. In fact, sometimes less than 10. And among the 10 comments, if 1 or 2 are students, we will definitely check your profile out. Okay? So if you do that, actually you are quite outstanding. You're quite outstanding, right? Number 4 is, of course, posting. So he also actively posts, but he got a strategy in posting, okay, which I want to share in a short while. And lastly is to be consistent. Okay, I'm going faster a bit in the next maybe 20 minutes, all right? So bear with me first. If you have a question, just throw it into the chat box, all right? Then I come and address that at 11:30, all right? So just bear with me for a while. But this one is pretty much simple. Don't worry, if you stay until our end of the session, I will give you the link to the individual topics of short videos I produce. So I'm not going to give to those who are staying. So those who don't stay, you don't get. Right? So, yeah, right. So first one is to have a professional LinkedIn profile. So having professional LinkedIn profile, there are 6 things that you should focus on. Okay? 6 things you should focus on. One is on your profile photo. Next one is on your banner. The banner is the one behind your photo, all right? Third one is the headline. 4th is the about section. 5th is on your work experience. And last one is all the projects. Now, before I talk about the individual one, just wanted to say, if you are a LinkedIn user, I assume all of you are LinkedIn users already. If you are a LinkedIn user, you will notice that LinkedIn gives what they call an all-star status badge, right? What is the difference between an all-star status badge with a non-all-star status badge? All-star status badge is given to a user that completes all the information required in all the LinkedIn segments. So for compliance purposes, please complete all the sections. But for employability purposes, you only need to focus on these 6. Okay, to get a professional looking LinkedIn profile. Okay, so I will just quickly move on. So first one is on the photo. Photo got 5 criteria. Later I will give you the list again. But very quickly, what are the 5 criteria for your photo? Number 1, it must be recent photo, current photo of you. All right. Don't put photo 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Some of you do that in other social media platforms, but you cannot do that on LinkedIn. So recent photo of yourself. Second criteria, 60% of the frame should be your face. So please don't take a full body shot. Please don't take a shot or photo of you doing something else, climbing Mount Kinabalu, and things like that, right? take a shot of your face. 60% of face must be in the frame, right? Third criteria, you must have the right expression. What is the right expression? You need to smile. Okay, so because of this criteria, your passport photo or IC photo is not appropriate. Because why? Passport photo and IC photo, you usually don't smile. Why you don't smile? Because you beratur 3 jam, you are very upset with the immigration or with JPN. By the time they ask you to take photo, your muka very masam, right? See also, very sad and very angry. That's why all our IC and passport photo look like very bad one. Because why? We waited 3 hours just to take the photo, right? So don't use your IC and passport photo. Use a photo that engages in a very cheerful, very happy, So basically, the rule of thumb is when I look at your photo, I want to talk to you. That is the rule of thumb. Fourth criteria is what you wear. Whatever you think that you're going to wear to work, if tomorrow I employ you to come into my company, what would be the attire that you're going to wear to join me? Is the same attire you should be putting in your profile photo. Last criteria. Background as simple as possible, plain, preferably plain. I know all of you like Unimap. Please don't put a profile photo of you standing in front of the Pintu Gerbang Unimap, or standing in front of your faculty. Nobody wants to look at the background. They want to look at your face, okay? So make sure that your background is as plain as possible, and whatever you wear is contrasting. So like me, today, I'm having a dark maroon shirt. My background is white, okay? It's contrasting so that you can clearly see my face. So same for this, okay? So later I will give you a link to summarize these 5 points again, right? Next is the headline. So the headline is very important. Headline, besides grabbing the attention for people to read your profile, that is only 20%. The headline has 80% functionality as a keyword search. So whatever keywords that you put in your headline, LinkedIn search algorithm will search first. Okay. So with that, I quickly want to share the formula. Okay. So these are the criteria. If you want to quickly take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. This is what I already explained, right? So 3 parts formula for headline. Okay. Part 1, field of discipline. So whatever degree that you are doing, you make sure that that field of discipline is in your headline. Okay. Second one is the industry or area of work that you want to work for. Okay. So for instance, if let's say I don't have good EE example, but chemical engineering, okay, I use chemical engineering. I hope you don't mind, right? Then you can just see the difference. So let's say a field of discipline, put chemical engineering. Why you should only put chemical engineering and not, sorry, I forgot to tell one important thing. Okay, so come back a bit, backtrack a bit. Right, so this is headline. So for headline, there's a limitation of characters. So you can only type 220 characters in the headline. And whatever words that you put into this headline is very important, because when recruiters do a search on LinkedIn, they will read the headline first. The system will read the headline first, right? So if you understand SEO, search engine optimization, they will, I mean, the priority is to read the headline first before other parts of your profile, right? So first and foremost, put the area of discipline. So if let's say you are doing an engineering degree in chemical engineering, right? You should only just put chemical engineering and not Bachelor of Chemical Engineering. Reason why is because as a recruiter, I will not search for Bachelor of Chemical Engineering, but I will search for chemical engineers, right? So you put that in. Second is to put the industry and area of work that you want. So as chemical engineers, you can be in oil and gas, you can be in plastic, you can be in manufacturing, you can be in food, right? So all these keywords, if you are interested in the industry, just put it in, right? Of course, the question you ask me is, hey, Muhan, I've not been in the industry yet. Wouldn't it be weird if I put oil and gas there or put semiconductor there? Wouldn't it be weird? No. Later on in your about section, you describe why you put semiconductor in your headline, because why you aspire to be in that kind of industry, right? An area of work. So as a engineer, you can be a design engineer, you can be a process engineer, you can be a quality engineer, whichever engineering discipline or field that you want to do as part of your work, you put it in your headline. Lastly is what we call uniquely you. Uniquely you got 3 parts, all right? So to the question earlier about competition, the cert is not so important. I forgot who asked this question. Cert is not so important, but more important is what type of competition you join, and you get to shout about it in your headline, right? So especially for those competition that is globally recognized, right? So any type of achievement, even let's say you go for some hackathon, let's say organized by Intel hackathon, right? And you're the finalist. Put that in your headline, finalist of Intel Hackathon 2022. Okay, because it's very, very impressive as part of the headline, right? Second one is about jargons that only your industry understand, right? For let's say for civil engineers, I know this quite a lot because I did a lot of work with civil engineering people, right? So you can put jargons like AutoCAD, like BIM, building information management. You can put things like you can put things like MATLAB. So these are although it's software that used by engineers, but these are jargons that only engineering in that field would know and understand. So you can put all these words there because it is highly sought after. So the word of advice, Microsoft Office is not a jargon. Please don't put Microsoft Office in your headline, because why? It's almost like a language. You all need to understand and use it anyway, except if you have advanced Microsoft Excel skills. And the keyword here is advanced. You must be able to do things like VBA. You must be able to do macros and all. If you're able to do that, because you use a lot of Microsoft Excel and you're good to link 30 worksheets together and things like that, write formulas on that, that can appear in your headline. Microsoft Excel is the only suite in the Microsoft suite that is highly sought after by most employers. If you're good in Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, and Microsoft whatever, nobody cares. But if you're good in Microsoft Excel, that's a commercial value for it. That's an employability value for it, right? And lastly, if you don't have anything else, you can write your qualities of qualities like leadership, qualities like planning, and so on and so forth, all right? So this is the 3-part formula, and you got to put all these keywords to fulfill the 220 characters. That is the limit. The trick is to write until you cannot write. Okay, so just make sure you put it in. Now, I quickly look at most of your headline. The worst headline you can put there is student of UniMap. I'm not saying that student of UniMap is the worst, but the worst LinkedIn headline that you all can have now is student in UniMap. Because as a recruiter, I won't recruit you based on your university, or I won't search you based on your university. Okay? So any one of them having that headline, please change it based on this formula. Okay? The other worst headline you can put is third-year student looking for internship January 2022 to June 2022. Please don't put this headline. Number one, nobody cares. Number two, no recruiter search for such keywords. Okay? So whether you're actively looking for internship, actively looking in job, it shouldn't be in your headline. It's in another segment, but not in your headline. So if you do have that in your headline, please remove it as well, because you are wasting opportunity. Okay? Right, 10 more minutes. Okay, can. Next is about your about section. So they used to call this about section summary. Then they realized big problem, because why? When we call it summary, everybody put 2-3 sentences. So this one you can write about 2,000 characters. My advice is write until you cannot write. Write as much as possible. And don't copy and paste your CV summary to be here. This is not a CV. The difference between LinkedIn profile and a CV is CV, we want you to write as little as possible, as concise as possible, as summarized as possible. On your LinkedIn profile, we want you to write as much as possible. Write until cannot write, because why? You don't know who is looking at your profile. So CV is targeted. So if you're applying for a job in Intel, you will customize and tailor your CV towards Intel. Try to use some of the keywords that Intel wants to see, right? But in LinkedIn, you cannot be targeting just Intel, because Intel people may not just look at your LinkedIn profile. Could be everybody else. AMD look at, Agilent look at, and some other companies even overseas may look at it. So in this case, you're trying to capture as much traffic as possible, write as much as possible. So rule of thumb for about is 3 paragraphs. First paragraph talk about your internship. Second paragraph talk about your final year project. Last paragraph talk about your curriculum activities. As much as possible, give exact details, what type of things that you did, projects that you done, collaboration that you done, how many people came, how much money you raised, what competition you won. Just write as much as possible. And if you are looking for a job or looking for internship, this is where you put a last sentence. By the way, I'm seeking for an internship placement in the semiconductor industry beginning January 2022 to June 2022, and I can be contacted. Put your email there, right? So that if people interested in your profile and somehow read and got interested, then they saw that actually, yeah, hey, actually not bad, Muihan, I may want to take him as an intern, and he put his contact detail there, then I can contact him. Yeah. So that is where you put. You're looking for job, looking for internship, put in the about section, not the headline. Okay. Next is your working experience. So working experience should only capture your internship experience and your part-time experience. And in this case, please don't write job description. So exactly how I described to KS just now, you can write a full paragraph. Here you can put 1,300 characters. So you can write a full paragraph of what you have done during the internship, right? And what kind of transferable skills. You can even describe, right? 3 projects of 3 performance, 3 performance improvement projects I undertook as part of my internship with, let's say with company XYZ. And so you may not reveal the trade secrets, but you can talk about in these 3 improvement projects, one quality that I learned is very important is the ability to manage stakeholders in the company. So in this project, I was the assistant team lead, assisting my supervisor to actually understand better process flows in the individual stakeholders' plans. So in this sense, you're not giving details of it, but at least you're giving a good high-level description of what you did and what qualities that you undertook. So with that, you don't flaunt the company policy of non-disclosure, right? But at the same time, you talk about learning about managing stakeholders. You talk about structured brainstorming, structured problem solving, structured communication, and so on and so forth as part of your internship experience. So describe that in a full paragraph. Okay. Lastly is your projects. Projects is all the way below. I would strongly, there's all the other things that you can put. If you have publication, you can put courses that you attended, you can put awards, you can put any awards that you want, they can put all there. But projects is the most important. And each of the projects, you described it. Don't leave it 1-2 sentences. Give a full paragraph description. I want to emphasize this because why? Because of this description, I got a 6-figure job 5 years ago from LinkedIn. Through LinkedIn, not from LinkedIn, through LinkedIn. Because of the description of the consulting project that I undertook. Okay, so don't underestimate this. So it could be your final year project, it could be your other academic related project, it could be your extracurricular activities, it could be outside of your university activities, any project that you have undertook. In fact, I think recently with the flood, many of you undertook a humanitarian cleanup. Yeah, don't just post pictures about it on your Instagram or TikTok. Write a full paragraph of what you saw, what did you do, who are the people that involved and things like that into your LinkedIn. Because these are all very, very helpful later on in your employability. Okay. So this one I talked about it already. So rule of thumb, if you can, every day try to target 3 people to invite. Right? 3 is just enough, because now LinkedIn got a quota. If you send out more than 100 invitations one week, you go into LinkedIn jail. They think that you are a robot trying to spam people. Okay. So very quickly, there's a search button on your LinkedIn profile. Type the company that you want to work for in the future. Okay. And once you do that, try to see which are the managers that you think that is relevant to you. Then you start connecting with them, right? And when you connect with them, please don't just hit the connect button. Send them a personalized note, okay? You can actually target your alumni members. This one I did for right? Change right? That's the easy one, okay? The other thing, sorry, just backtrack a bit. In their profile, there's this segment called activity, like what I'm showing here for mine, right? If you find that there's no activity in the profile for the person that you have selected, then don't connect with them. Because why? It means that they are not active on LinkedIn. If they are not active on LinkedIn, there's no purpose for you to connect with them. Okay? So send them a personalized note. Okay? You can do that. Next step is to comment, which I talked about already, right? This one, if you can, every day, if you can do 2-3 comments, wonderful. Comments got no quota. You can comment as much as possible. So in fact, you can start pushing yourself to make comments on professional managers posting, especially those that you want to work for. You will develop instant rapport and connection with them. Okay? Of course, please make quality comments. Don't say good sharing, sir. Well done. Good job. All these are low quality, right? In Afik's one, he will actually dispute it. He said, oh, good sharing, by the way, Aswan. But I would also want to add this perspective, especially from a millennial standpoint of view, that not all of us are influenced by our devices. In fact, the older generation seems to be more. So he actually offered a point of view, although he's just an undergraduate student. So when you're able to do that with a professional manager, they're actually very, very impressed because not many students, in fact, no student do this. So as a student, if you're able to have a discussion and debate with a professional manager, especially a senior management person, then you are really standing out. That is how you attract attention. By attracting attention, then you exchange contact details, and when you need it. So the other difference with Afik is when he connect with a professional, he don't ask for an internship placement straight away. He will comment on their posts, discuss a few things, even sometimes just jump into a call and say, hey, Sir Aswan, I've actually been thinking a lot about my future. And I really, really impressed with the kind of work that you do in Accenture. Is it okay that you recommend to me your recruitment manager or your HR manager so that I can ask a few questions about your company? So you can actually ask for that. Actually, ask questions about your company. Actually, he's not asking for a job or not asking for an internship yet. The ask come next year. So it's like that, lor. So imagine, for those, lack of a better analogy, in fact, you like a girl, straight away you say, hey, I want to be your boyfriend. The girl will get scared, right? Of course, you need to start getting to know the person and allow the person to know you. So similarly on LinkedIn, don't send a connection invite, and after that person accept your invite, first question you ask, sir, do you have job for me or not? I get that a lot. I tell you, I get that a lot. Do you have vacancy for in your company for me? I'm thinking, who are you? Sorry, I don't even know you. So these are the people that we don't. It is lack of tech, so don't do that. Okay. Lastly, posting. So only 3 things you need to post. Okay, and posting frequency at least once a week enough. Once a week, right? So once a week is not too many, So first thing, what you can post is your extracurricular activity. So any activity you do in university, take a picture, do a short description, post. So this is an example that from a UPM student which attended my class. So I didn't teach her to do this format, but this is what she did. So you can even put a venue when this happened, put a short description and put a photo, right? So I'll give you a few examples that what she did. Somehow she put date. So because it's social media, you can do throwback. Things that happen in your first semester is also you can write about it. If you have the photo, if you don't have photo, you can also write about it, right? So these are the things that she write lah, activities that she did, activities, events that she attended, you know, and things like that. So even when she was in matriculation, she also can recount it, right? So what you need to do, or what you should do on a weekly basis, at least post about your extracurriculum activity. That is the first type of posting, right? Second type of posting is on your internship. So if you're going for a 12 weeks internship, I would suggest that every 2 weeks you do a posting on LinkedIn. Okay, so Azam is from UTHM. He also attended a few of my classes. So post on what you learn in the internship, like what he 3 main things I learned during my internship. It's very important and useful. Okay, and then put a photo there. He was in Kimberly Clark, right? And lastly, you can post about your final year project. So Yvonne here is from UMS, University Malaysia Sabah, also attended my session. So this is what he posts, right? Mini final year project, then put a photo, do a description. So this is the least you can do. Once a week is not a lot of commitment. Now, I want to say this last thing before I open the Q&A portion, right? The benefit of doing a LinkedIn posting is, number one, of course, you get potential recruiters or hiring managers to read your posts. Why it's important for them to read your post is because your CV, when you apply for a job, it is a summarized version. It doesn't tell many stories about who you are. In fact, the recruitment process is very short and very targeted. And sometimes it is a hit and miss. So imagine if you do the same recruitment process to find a life partner, that will be very dangerous. Because why? We look at CV, then we call you for 1 hour interview, then we decided to hire you, right? So this is the common recruitment process throughout the world because of the time taken and things like that. So for a hiring manager to properly get to know you, they need to see a pattern of stories. So if you do posting once a week, at least once a week, and if let's say I go and check out your LinkedIn profile and can see all these postings, what you have posted in the, so that's why you should not use LinkedIn like you use other social media. You know, if you use LinkedIn like other social media, it's very hard to curate all the stories of yourself. Okay, so for instance, everybody talk about, you know, the flood disaster, you know, how the government failed us. Also, you also talk about it on your LinkedIn. Then next week is about China being boycotted in the Winter Olympics. Then you also talk about it. So if you put too many information that is unrelated to your employment, although it will draw a lot of attention, it doesn't help you in this sense because you don't have a strategy. That is why I started the session to say, I'm not teaching you to become a KOL, because in a KOL training, you will get to learn to post things that attract attention from others. And what attract attention from others is usually the controversial things, right? So in your case, I'm not asking you to do that. Please don't do that, in fact, right? Your LinkedIn posting should be curated to talk about your experiences in your extracurricular activity, your final year project, your internship. And you curate it so much that after I read 1 post, 2 posts, 3 posts, 5 posts about yourself, I will form a good opinion of who you are as a character versus just reading your 2-page CV or your 1-page CV. Because tak kenal maka tak cinta ma. So the more I read about you, the more I get to know you, and I see consistency. I say, hey, this guy not bad. He consistently leads a group of people do things. He consistently go out there to influence other people. He consistently things like that. So we are trying to look for patterns as recruiters, because habits are habitual things. Behavior is habitual, right? So these are the habits. If you can see a pattern when in your university years, chances are these habits will be prevalent when we recruit you or when you work for us. So we just need to make a call whether those habits fit or don't fit our organization. If we say that it don't fit, that's why we don't hire you. That's how it's simple as. More importantly, it is a digital diary for you. So the benefit of posting on LinkedIn is on your mobile phone because you can access LinkedIn via your mobile phone through the app. So the most critical thing happens like that, right? Before you enter the interview room, let's say you submitted a CV, you got shortlisted for an interview, you get called for the interview. Usually before the interview, how to say, you need to wait, right? Wait for the manager or wait for the recruiter, right? And in that 15 or half an hour wait, you don't know what to do and you panic one, because I also panic. If today I go for job interview before the half an hour or 15 minutes, I also get very nervous and scared, right? And most of the time, when we go into the interview session, actually whatever we plan, we forget already, right? Or we forget what we have done. So to help you, this is a very powerful tool, because why? If you discipline yourself to post every week, 1 week, one posting about your achievement, about your extracurricular activities, about your final year project, about your internship experience, 15 minutes before you enter the interview session, you scroll up all your previous posting. And if you follow my advice to be disciplined on just posting these 3 things and not any other rubbish, you are very focused to read and remind yourself of all your achievement, all your activities, all your final year project details, and all your internship details. So by the time you walk into the interview room, it's all fresh in your head, and you can very confidently deliver the answers that the interviewer are looking for. So that's why I call it a digital diary. Even if you post and nobody comment and nobody liked it, don't worry. It is for you in the future. And if you follow the advice of 1 week, 1 posting, every year you have 50 posting. And you start in your first year, by the time you graduate in your 4th year, you have 200 posting. And this 200 posting is not talking about anything else except yourself. Okay? So, and of course, lastly is the consistency. So consistency what? At least add 2 or 3 people every day. At least do 1 posting a week. At least comment 2 or 3 posting a day. This is the consistency that you need to do on a daily basis or weekly basis. If you cannot do on a daily basis, make it a weekly basis. If you can do that, then you see the success like what my good friend Afiq does. When he get the job he wants and can change job also, in that sense. Okay, let's do questions. Okay, attendance list come out already. Yeah, cool.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Koh Mui Han. So now I open to Q&A session. So I will unmute all the participants. Now you can ask directly to Mr. Mui Han. So if you have any question.
Any questions?
Any question? Okay, so Mr. Koh Mui Han, just now we got 2 questions. So the first question asks on the whether if they joins the Palapis or Unisys will consider as one of the criteria for the application for the intern. So maybe Mr. Koh can share a little bit on that.
Palapis, I understand. Success is what? Sorry, someone help me. What is success? Somebody can help me.
Success written on the chat box, Mr. Mui Han. Say that success is the police actually.
Okay. Sorry. Sukarela Siswa. Okay. Thank you. So again, don't focus on the name, focus on the skills and qualities that you learn. So whether you are a Palapis or you success, the main thing that you need to impress upon your employers is on the kind of discipline and training that you do, right, as part of it, and your ability to follow very strict instruction. And also, I think the other, especially for Pelapis, one of the things that they keep asking you to train is to be preparing. So the beauty of a army officer is you are always in preparation for the unexpected. So that is some same mindset that you should be able to impress upon your future employers, to say that because you go for all this Pelapis and Sukses training, in a way, you can see yourself as always prepared. So even if you walk into an environment or a new room or a new situation, you will automatically ask yourself, what are the 3 steps I need to do if there's an emergency? So these are the kind of behavior or kind of competency that a lot of employers are looking for as well, especially for certain jobs. It's very important. Okay, so that is the emphasis that I would say you need to focus on when describing your Pelapis or Sukses involvement. Rather than to say Pelapis setiap hari berkawat 8 jam and whatever, no. So people say that you kawat 8 jam, what is the relevance? You need to describe your ability to kawat 8 jam 1 minggu to translate it into discipline, to translate it into time management, to translate it into planning, translate it into preparation. Yeah. So that is, I will focus on these keywords, planning, time management, preparation, no, in that sense, no, rather than marching, right? So don't focus on the activity, focus on what you learn from the activity or what you learn from doing the activity. Hope that makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Koh Hui Han. So any other question?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a question. How about MPP? Does they have stand a chance to be hired more than normal students, or is just the same as Pelapis?
Yeah. So I'll be very impressed if you are a part of MPP, because not many students are MPP in that sense to start with. But I can also tell you, in the corporate world, if let's say the hiring manager are not from public university, half the time they don't understand what it takes to become MPP. They will just treat it as another, another student activity. Unless the hiring manager is from a public university, then they will give maybe some kind of premium to candidates who are MPP. Okay, so with that itself, your focus, so your description of MPP cannot just put you are an MPP and you are in charge of what secretariat and you think that it will hold water. If I'm an MPP, I will describe things like that. So I wasn't MPP, I was just NTM, right? Majelis Tertinggi Mahasiswa in my residential college, right? So I only represented the college kediaman, not the university. In MPPK, you represent the university, right? As a student leader. So I will write here to say that I am the first, I'm the pioneer batch of this is actually my one. If I were to graduate today, I will write this. And this is my experience. I will write something like, I'm a student leader in my residential college, in the 10th college in UPM, and we were the pioneer batch. And I was appointed to the position of vice president of the student council leader, student leader council in my in 10th college UPM. And in my tenure as the vice president, we ran 2 major projects. First project was on career fair, where we attracted 500 companies with the participation of 2,000 university students throughout 7 days. The focus was really enhancing our students staying in 10 college on the employment opportunities available out there, especially in the areas of engineering. The second major project was the inter-college sports carnival that we organized, which saw the participation of the 17 residential college in UPM participating in 12 sports. So I will go on and on about my projects and what did I do as part of MTM, and not just throw the word MTM and hope for getting a premium on it in that sense. So hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Faisal, aviation company GE, okay, try to understand the management style to apply my personality. So, as a fresh graduate, let's talk about fresh graduate first, because you try to ask me as a senior person, okay, right? So, as a fresh graduate, is trying to look at your behavioral competency, not even your technical competency. So, your technical competency as a fresh graduate, we understand that you are fundamental and basic, but as your behavior competency is the one that we see whether you fit or don't fit, right? Now, a lot of students or a lot of even hiring managers, they like to say this word, I'm hiring you based on your attitude. Okay, I don't like to use the word attitude because attitude has a positive and negative connotation. Because no recruiters or managers out there will hire a bad attitude person, right? Even if you're a manager, you won't hire a bad attitude person. You definitely look for good attitude, right? So it's not just attitude. It's not just attitude. It's more of what we describe as behavioral competency. And I like to tell this story because it will therefore to help you to understand behavioral competency, right? Technical competency, most companies, if not all companies, understand as a fresh graduate, your technical competency is at fundamental level. But once you join us, you got all the on-the-job training and classroom training and technical training to help you to enhance your technical competency to commercial level. So that one, they're not worried. What they are worried is your behavioral competency. Because your behavioral competency will determine whether you fit, don't fit my company, whether you last, don't last my company. So I was working for an Indonesian consulting firm before PwC. So the company headquarters is in Jakarta. We only got 15 staff. Out of the 15 staff, 13 staff are in Jakarta. Only 2 in KL, myself and my big boss, right? And we have about 800 square feet office. 2 of us sit in the 800 square feet. Very very odd like that, but we were there, and the office was in a PJ place, is above, the office space is above a shopping mall, MCOP Mall. I don't know whether you know or not, right? Anyway, so after 3 months into the job, my boss said, "Hey, Muihan, why don't you go and hire a junior person to help you, since like got projects coming in, consulting projects coming in." So I did the necessary. I go and posted on JobStreet, run the advertisement, then see whichever CV I like. I start the call interview. So there was this girl came for interview. I like her quite a bit. She had about 2 years experience in the bank, running projects as well. Although not my HR consulting project, but the skill set is similar. Okay. So in the 1 hour interview, everything tick the box lah. This one okay, this one okay, this one okay, this one okay, blah blah blah, everything okay. Then before I set her free, because the next step is once I'm okay with her, I will recommend her for my big boss to interview, right? So I asked one innocent question before she left. So I say, I understand you're trying to look for a career change or a different job lah. But if you can tell me one thing that you like most about your current job, I want to know. So she thought for a while, then she said, oh, the current job that I like is all my colleagues are like family members, because we just don't work together, after work we go shopping together, we eat dinner together. During lunch also we go out together. We are like a family. Sometimes Saturday, Sunday also we go watch movie, and things like that. So I really like the family spirit among my colleagues and the team members that we have. Because of that answer, I tell my boss, don't need to interview. She is not a fit. Because why? Our company cannot offer her that, because why? There's only me and my boss. My boss, half the time is in Jakarta. I'm also outside. So whoever we hire will work alone in the 800 square feet office. We cannot offer the kind of social interaction that is needed by this candidate. So as a result, behavioral fit or behavioral competency is not a fit. Now, is she a bad candidate? No, but she doesn't fit our organization. Therefore, we didn't proceed with the hiring process. So when you are interviewed, our focus is to see whether you have a behavior fit or not. So for instance, in my company, we do a lot of projects, a lot of team projects, right? So we want to ask you questions in your past team projects. So they will even ask you questions on how you do your group assignment. I got student ask me before, you know, sir, I went for internship interview. Wow, the employer like crazy one, ask me stupid question. I say, what stupid question? Ask me. He asked me, how do I do my assignment? So he give me that look. How do? So it's totally invalid question. I say it's very valid. Valid because why? We want to see the consistency of your behavior, right? Whether in your university, even doing a group assignment, what is some of your key behaviors that will be a reflection whether you fit, don't fit when we hire you. So this is what I mean by behavioral competency.
Any other question? Any other question? Okay, Mr. Ko, I have one question. So, Mr. Ko, as I understand, in Clean In, we need to write, but as I understand, not every student, they have the capability to write. So maybe Mr. Ko can share how to help them to start to write in the LinkedIn, maybe in the simple strategy so that they can start by today after this talk. Thank you, Mr. Han.
I mean, just you no need to write essay or whatever, or you don't need to write so that is where the problem is, because when we ask you to do posting, your focus is you're trying to become a key opinion leader, a KOL, a social media influencer. You are so afraid that when you post something, nobody like your post, nobody comment on your post, nobody share your post. The moment you have this thinking, then you are defeated already. You lost the battle. When you write and post on LinkedIn, is for you to read, not for other people to read. If you think like that, then you are safe. Okay? Of course, definitely, right? If you can do some spell check, will be good. If you start writing with all broken English or all broken BM, you can write everything in BM, no problem as well. But use proper BM. So my criteria is this. If you tell me you're not good in English, write in BM. But please use proper BM. If you're not good in BM, write proper English. That's it. Right? Don't campur aduk everything and then become like rojak like that, and it sounds terrible. So I find that when it comes to language, right, is number one, utilization. Number two, use proper language, because I mean, there's enough debate whether which one is more important, which one. I'm staying away from that debate. But my focus is, if you can write proper BM, there will be enough readers that will appreciate your experiences and also will give them a good impression of who you are. Problem is, you write Twitter BM. That one die. Because Twitter is 100 and now become 240 characters. Right? That's why the language or the words is all. So please, right? You got 1,300 characters, right? Sorry, they increased it to 3,000 characters. I was always 1,003. Now got 3,000 characters per posting. Write proper. So just keep it 2-3 paragraphs of describing the experience. Focus on what you learn, what you realize. Because why? Remind yourself, this is something for you to read 3 years from now when you attend the job interview. Once you have this attitude, you don't have this problem. Problem is everybody keep thinking, oh no, the whole world going to read my posting, blah, 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 and things like that. No. Yes, whole world going to read, but I can also tell you the whole world don't care. Unless you are writing something that is so resonating with them. And chances are, for a start, you won't be, right?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ko. We have one question in the chat box from Lukman. So about the behavior, should we answer honestly based on our experience, or should we answer based on our our
point of view.
point of view in mind?
Yeah. So Lokman, although this is not a session, but maybe Unimap can host me again. That is on an interview skill already, right? So in interview skills, there are different types of questions that the interview can ask you, right? So there's a key difference. Actually, there are 4 types of questions in the interview. The interview can ask you. Or the 4 types of questions you need to prepare for. First type of question is the introduction question, which a lot of people fail. A lot of fresh graduates fail, right? I will not talk about that. That is the elevator pitch. That will be a sub. Second type is what we call the behavioral question. So when I ask a behavioral question, you cannot tell based on your point of view. You need to tell me based on what you have done, what you experienced. So that's why we're asking you to be active in extracurricular activities, be active in project. Why? Because a lot of behavioral questions is related to another person. We want to see your interaction with another person, not with yourself. So if you don't have experiences interacting with other people, or you don't have enough experiences interacting with other people, you cannot answer the behavior question. The third type of question is situational question. Situational question is things have not happened yet, you have not done it yet, but we ask you what you would do if you are in this position. So I just give you a difference. Behavioral question. Tell me a time where you need to influence a teammate that doesn't want to do the work in your team assignment. You got to tell an experience like that. If you don't have such experience, then you cannot tell. You cannot bluff. Because if I'm a trained interviewer, let's say you goreng some cerita, say, oh, this was my second year, then the paper was this, then there was this fella very recalcitrant. Every time I ask him to do something, he refused. He don't end my phone call and whatever. Then you goreng some cerita. Then I ask for details. So in that sense, what do you do? What was your actual role? What was the paper? So if you have not, if you are not planned this story well, you will get caught. So in this aspect, if let's say you have not in the 4 years influenced another team member, whether it's in your assignment or in your projects, then you just say, sorry, I don't have such experience. So therefore, while you're studying now, we are asking you to get as much experience managing other people as much as possible. Because why? All these are important in the interview. So when we ask you to do extracurricular activities, just don't do activity for activity's sake. Do activity to learn to manage other people. Do activity to learn to understand other people. In fact, I gave a talk earlier. There was this guy he's a USM student, but he's from Perlis. And I'm very impressed with people who are from Perlis, because why? You are the smallest state in the country, and not many times you meet a person from Perlis. But I was telling him, as a Perlis person, when you go to USM in Sinto, USM in Glugo, your focus is not to interact or find the other police person. You're supposed to go and find and interact with the Johorian, with the Kelantanese, with the Sabahan, with the Sarawakian. Because why? 20 years of your life, you've been living with the orang police. Cukup dah, right? 4 years of university, why it's called university is because it's universal learning. And the greatest universal learning that you should get from the university is learning how to work, understand, and talk to people that is totally different from you. So, which I'm very surprised, because during my time, foreign students in public university is very low. Now, foreign university, I think, account to at least 10 to 20% of all public university. But when I go to public university, I realized that our local students never interact or hang out with foreign students. They still form their so the Penang group will form their Penang group, the Ipoh group will form their Ipoh group, the Johorian will form their Johorian, the Kelantan will so everybody go back to their own kampong group. So there's a club Kelantan in Unimap, or there's a club Johor in Unimap, there's a club Sabah in. Why you do that for? Your whole life you've been living with the same person. Why you still want to learn about the same person, right? Your job is to learn about other people. So if you can force yourself to interact with more people, that answers will be useful in your interview session. So that is why for behavior question, it needs to be your experience. If situational question, then it's your point of view. These days, we hardly ask people to ask situational question as an interviewer, because why? Google got a lot of standard answer. A lot of you hafal, memorize all. That's why no longer relevant. Okay, we got few more questions. Ken, Syed Muhammad Haziq, you can post about your classes. Yeah. Post about your assignment, post about your classes. In fact, if you do presentation during your assignment and you produce a very good presentation deck, you can even upload the presentation deck as part of your posting, because the LinkedIn is flexible to support media. You can put a PDF file there, you can upload a YouTube link. So if you got another class coursemate that record your presentation 5 minutes, upload that video as well, because seeing is believing. Okay? So Zafri, I can tell you, your postgraduate qualification, okay, may not necessarily disqualify you for a lot of opportunities. I think the way you position it is in your cover letter or even in your CV You need to be humble enough to position it that actually you are not expecting similar, or different treatment because you have higher qualification. So the only problem with postgraduate qualification people that want to go into the industry is they are thinking that their postgraduate degree or their postgraduate qualification would need to commensurate higher starting salary, or would need to commensurate higher position compared to a fresh graduate. I can safely tell you in most industry that you have a master's or even a PhD, right? We will still treat you as a fresh graduate if you don't have any working experience, unless the job that we are recruiting for is research and development, high research and development. Okay, so in research and development jobs, there's no what we call output. There's no what we call key output expectation, because it's research. Anything under the sun, we're asking you to go and play around with it. See what works, what doesn't work. At the end of the tenure with us, you can say, oh, actually, I tried all these things, it doesn't work. Yeah, that is usually the expectation of a researcher. Okay. Of course, I'm simplifying it. Hope you don't pick fault with me. I'm just simplifying it. But what I'm trying to say is other than research jobs, right? Every other job has a key expectation of output, right? And that key expectation of output improves your employability if you have prior working experience, because you have proven that you can actually deliver the results. So that is something that is very valuable, more valuable than the qualification. So yes, I think you can still put it in, but you need to position that you are also very humble enough to understand that you are still lack of working experience, and therefore you should also focus to be treated equally as any other fresh graduate. If you put it in that manner, even in your job interview, definitely you are a better chance of getting the job. So a lot of, I'm also an adjunct professor in UPM. A lot of my academic colleagues tell me that their master student come and say, after do masters, they easily get a job. Yes, that is correct, because why? They are going into the job competing with the degree holder. So if you do have a master's and another person only have a bachelor's degree, and if I'm going to pay the same salary, why not? I probably take the master's person, right? That is the logic. Doesn't mean that you need a master's to get a job. But what I'm trying to say here is, in the industry eyes, they do not pay a premium for your postgraduate degree, unless it is a research job. So as a student, you may be mediocre, but you better think very carefully, Daniel, what you are good at. So if you're good at talking to people, you start describing in your LinkedIn posting of how you manage to influence people. If you're good at organizing events, then you start to talk about how you're good at organizing events. So you need to start thinking very carefully, what is that 1, 2, 3 good qualities that you have? Doesn't mean that it needs to be academic lah. Doesn't need to be even extracurricular activity. It could be anything lah. But something that is very uniquely you and that you are good at, and you can talk a lot about it.
Okay, any final question? We have one, Mr. Ko, in the chat box from Daniel Tan.
Yeah, I think I answered that, Daniel. Mediocre, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I accept that as the final question. So as a wrap up, so I hope all the 5 strategies.
Dr. January, wait first before we wrap up.
Okay.
So
Go ahead,
because you stay, so now is can you all open a Word file, Word document, empty Word document on another tab? Can all of you do that? Lukman, what is prior experience? Prior, right? After you get the first job, Lukman, actually everything else doesn't care because it's how you position and sell yourself. Okay, so we are not usually dictated by the discipline of study after our first job, or first or second job rather. And we also got the option to go back to the discipline that we study if our first job is not what we studied for. Okay, so that's okay. All of you got your Word file ready? Now, I'm going to share links with you to give you a detailed explanation of each of the segment, which I described, because I described very fast, right? So you copy and paste all this link. Some of them is a LinkedIn post, some of them is a Facebook posting. Others is a YouTube video that you can watch, right? So you copy all this link, and then when you enhance your profile, right, you can watch one by one to refresh what I just talked about, okay? So first one is on the profile picture. So you can copy and paste this and put into your Word document. If you want to share this Word document with those people who have left, then you're very kind, all right? But if you don't do that, also nobody will fault you, okay? Right? Then, okay, sorry, I need to open another. The rest is videos. So let me give you all the videos now. So we have a video on headline, a video on keywords, video on personalized connection, extracurricular activity, what to post, how to add people, how to write your about section. Yeah. So you can just copy and paste and keep it there, right? One last one before I pass back to Dr. January is I wanted to do a quick plug-in. Hopefully I got time. And this one you can actually check with Dr. Kamaro because I got him to join me one session. So every Friday evening, you can see, right? So every Friday evening, I actually run a Zoom platform to allow students like you to interact with professional managers, because one of the things to help you to become better, more employable people is to start talking to as many corporate managers as possible and as frequent as possible. So every Friday evening for 2 hours, I provide that opportunity. So I was one session last night, right? And I do this every Friday, unless it's a festivity which I stop. Okay. So in this session, is a free flow. You can ask the person anything, and you can also share any ideas. The whole idea is for you to build confidence, build maturity, and also build knowledge, so that you can be more employable. A person may not be in the industry that you want to work for, but because this person is very senior, he definitely knows certain people in the industry. Okay, so so we got mentors we got 40 mentors, and these mentors are very, very distinguished people in the industry. So I got like head of talent management for Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB. I got Kimberly Clark, ex HR director. I also got people who were in Siemens before. I got one guy 25 years in Shell. I got another guy in oil and gas. Aswan is from oil and gas. And so on and so forth. So I really would like to extend my invitation to all of you to join me on a Friday evening. It is not a webinar. You come into the session, we do some introduction, and then we put you into a breakout room. Each breakout room will have 3 to 4 students like you. Some of them are fresh graduates, some of them working for 1-2 years, but most of them are undergraduate, and they will be paired up with one senior person. So for the next 1 hour, you get to talk to the senior person, ask question, ask perspective, and all those things are like some of the questions that you ask me, they also can answer. So that at least on a weekly basis, if you come week after week, you learn how to talk to senior people, especially if you are in a final year. Even if you are in your 3rd year, it's good to start. So by the time you graduate, you are actually very confident when you go for interview. So that is the purpose. So I want to just share the link for the upcoming session. Every week, you will need to register to get your link, right? So if you are available this coming Friday on the 14th of January, I really look forward to see you, okay? And let me just assure you, and not hard selling, but let me assure you, any person that have joined our session, don't regret it. Don't regret it. So at least test us out for one time. But let me remind, it's not a webinar. You don't come and listen to somebody talk. You come to have a discussion, right? And this discussion is with a lot of senior people, a lot of corporate people. So the whole idea is to give you opportunity to mix around with working people as much as possible. Because in the university, this is something that is lacking. Okay? So thank you. And I will just put the link later. And yeah, pass it back to Dr. Chanari.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ko. So I hope all the students can take it as a very beneficial knowledge and sharing from the Mr. Ko. So for those who are free, you can join the class on Friday. So without delaying further time, so I'm on behalf of FTKE would like to thanks again to Mr. Ko Mui Han for bringing in expertise and experience around the table and engaging in such fruitful, constructive, and open exchange throughout this talk. So special thanks to FTKE Industrial Training Coordination Committee in organizing this talk. And last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants for participating in today's talk. And once again, the attendance link already uploaded by Dr. Ellen in the chat box, so please fill in your attendance. So thank you, and thanks again, Mr. Ko and Dr. Kamarul and Dr. Ellen for today's talk. Thank you.
Dr. Chanari, I think it's good for us to have a photo session before we end.
Photo session. Okay, can we have photo session? So everybody, turn on your camera, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan.
Thank you, Dr. Kamarul.
Definitely, it's a very, very beneficial talk to our students. And I would say the values. I mean, what I can get from this talk mainly is the values. Meaning, whatever you are doing, let's say you are doing you are in your student life, right? Whatever you are doing in a project, in a volunteering activities, whatsoever, the most important thing is you describe about the values that you get in the LinkedIn, and based on that values you get to sell yourself to the industries. would say.
I think just to add on to that is not only just that. I think it's documenting it. So one of the big problem that we have is we don't document enough, because we have a lot of activities, a lot of experiences, a lot of projects, a lot of assignment. We just experience, do it, done, and now get our grades and move on, right? So by the time we graduate after 4 years, we forgot everything. So to be honest, by the time you graduate, you will forget everything that you've done in semester 1, semester 2, even semester 3. And some of these things are actually very important to sell yourself to the employer. So if you discipline yourself on a weekly basis for what happened in that week and document it on your LinkedIn, then at least this will capture value for you when it comes to the interview. So I think documenting is very important. And it also become like notes for you to write your CV later. The problem with most students is it's not that you don't know how to write your CV. It's yet you don't have content for your CV. So whatever CV class that we send you to is useless because why? Don't have content. So if you have a lot of content, then not an issue. Then it's a way of writing. So really, really encourage you to use this platform to document. If you don't document for other people, document for yourself. That's what we're trying to do.
I would like to encourage all of you to join the Prime for Success program that is conducted by Mr. Koh. I've joined, personally, I've joined with the VC's special officer to the program. And I would say all the students who join it gain a lot of benefits. They get to interact with the industry leaders face to face, directly, and also get to know them, and also get a lot of information that we don't know as a student, right? So please register to the program, and it will be conducted on weekly basis as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Koh Muhan, as on behalf of the faculty, and looking forward to organize more and more talks and also sharing session with you. Maybe we can have more and more programs, more specific programs. Okay, maybe can do the photo session, Dr. Chanuri.
A moment. Okay, Doctor. A moment. So maybe we everybody, can you turn on your camera, please?
The other advice is also learn to turn on your webcam during lecture and whatever, not just for photo session, but more so to prepare yourself for the job interview, because chances are your first job interview will be virtual. And then if you don't start looking at yourself in the webcam, you don't know how to prepare for the interview. So from time to time, you need to turn it on so that at least you know your background is correct, you look okay, lighting is okay, And then when it comes to job interview, everything is good already. Okay, if not, you have a lot of challenges when it comes to job interview. So think of that from that perspective. Whether I see your face, don't see your face, actually, or the speaker see your face, don't see your face, it's not so important. Of course, if I see your face, then it gets easier because I know I'm talking to a group of people rather than I just see name. I don't know whether you respond, don't respond. Okay, cool.
Okay, so one. Okay, are you ready? Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. So 1, 2, 3. So okay. So one moment. Okay, so one more time. Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody. So thank you, Mr. Han, Dr. Ellen, and Dr. Kamaro. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do connect with me on LinkedIn as well, all right? So then at least I can see what you do and don't do. Right? Okay. So see you.
Right, thank you. See you, Han.